Lou?
Gene, this is, at the very least, a broad, general threat assessment, if you will. Why are there not names named and specific targets referenced here if there is a legitimate threat to the interests of the United States?
Well, they say there is no specific threat here, but they sent this out to law enforcement all across the country so they would be aware of what DHS perceives as something that's emerging, and so they can get an even better assessment of what's going on through the eyes of those local officials. That's why this was issued at this point in time.
This was attempted, once again, relying in some measure on the Southern Poverty Law Center last month with the so-called Missouri documents. The Missouri State Patrol had to withdraw the so-called fusion report. Is that likely to happen here?
I don't know. The Missouri report went considerably further. As you know, it mentioned to be on the lookout for people with certain sorts of political bumper stickers on their car. This report goes nowhere near that. And by the way, I don't think they relied on the Southern Poverty Law Center.
No,
this was DHS's own research.
Yeah.
Right. But certainly they seem to be in sync to a certain degree here. Both the department and the Southern Poverty Law Center say they are seeing some increase in those right-wing groups.
All right. Thank you very much. Gene Missouri from Washington. Well, we'd like to know what you think about all of this. Our poll question tonight is, do you think a person concerned about borders and ports that are unsecured, illegal immigration, Second Amendment rights, or a returning veteran from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan is likely or even possibly probable, as the Department of Homeland Security suggests, to be a right-wing extremist? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. 92% of you say a person concerned about borders and ports that are unsecured, if you're worried about illegal immigration, Second Amendment rights, or a returning veteran from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It is not likely, as the Homeland Security Department suggests, to be a right-wing extremist. Are you listening, Janet Napolitano?
You don't need a recording in court for a statement. As Professor Duane said, it's his word against my word if he was a defendant. Number one, and this is the way it works, and this is the way the real world works, in case you guys haven't been out there, that's outside the windows out there. The jury looks at a defendant sitting next to a defense attorney. That's strike one, because the jury is already looking at that as that being someone who did something that put them in that chair. Number two, they get a uniformed police officer up there. They get someone wearing a suit as a detective up there that is a professional witness. That's strike two. So now they have a professional witness against them. And then if they've confessed and that professional witness is going to sit there and read from his or her notes, the confession, that's strike three. Go get your orange jumpsuit. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
The MIAC report specifically describes supporters of presidential candidates Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, and Bob Barr as militia-influenced terrorists, and instructs the Missouri police to be on the lookout for supporters displaying bumper stickers and other paraphernalia associated with the Constitution, Campaign for Liberty, and libertarian parties. The MIC report does not concentrate on Muslim terrorists, but rather on the so-called militia movement, and conflates it with supporters of Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, Bob Barr, and the so-called Patriot Movement, and any other political activist organization opposed to the North American Union and the New World Order. So if you voted for an independent candidate such as Bob Barr or Ron Paul, or you are a member of the Constitution Party or the Libertarian Party, or you find yourself in opposition to the North American Union, then according to this police report put out at the state police in Missouri, you are considered a potential terrorist. This report goes on to say the MIC report is similar to one created by the Phoenix Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Joint Terrorism Task Force during the Clinton administration. The FBI document explicitly designates defenders of the Constitution as, quote, right-wing extremists. Imagine that. If you defend the Constitution, if you believe the Constitution should be defended and upheld, you are labeled a right-wing extremist. And according to the MIAC report, opposition to world government, opposition to NAFTA, opposition to restrictive gun laws, to the federalization of the states, are a potential threat to the police. Now, we laugh at that, and we take that lightly, and because we realize how ludicrous it is. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing to be taken lightly here. This is very serious. This is an official state police agency issuing a report to the entire state police of the state of Missouri, cautioning them, advising them, warning them, however you want to say it, to be on guard against people that might have a Ron Paul bumper sticker on their car, or people that would be a part of a political party that's not Republican or Democrat, or people that believe that we ought to defend the Constitution, or people that believe that that we should oppose the North American Union that is growing by leaps and bounds every day. That these people are considered potential terrorists, extremists, right-wing fanatics, and other such verbiage. Now, first of all, I had a call, we had a conversation take place after this report was released, and I'm going to be talking here in a couple of days personally with Bob Barr and Ron Paul, and we're going to be putting our heads together and figuring out what we want to do to respond to this. I can tell you this, we will not take this lying down. I remind you that before the Nazis began to persecute and incarcerate and kill and so forth the Jewish people in Germany, the first thing they did was label them as extremists and fanatics and all these kind of things and get the people conditioned against them. And then with the approbation of the general populace, they were able to unleash the fury of the state against them, and we all, of course, know what happened as a result of that. So don't think it a light thing whenever an official state police agency would identify us and many of you in this audience as potential terrorists. This is a very serious thing. And by the way, also included in that group, I didn't keep reading, but also included in that group were anti-abortion protesters, people that believe in the right to life of unborn children. You also are considered to be a potential terrorist by this report. This kind of a thing is something that has been building in our country for many years as many people have sought to silence those who would stand up for not only the principles of the Word of God, but the principles upon which our country was founded.
My suppression hearing, a statement was trying to be suppressed because when I record a confession or an interview, because we don't do interrogations, the police. We do not do interrogations. That's a bad, mean, Nazi kind of word, okay? We do interviews, okay? And you'd be amazed how much difference it makes when you use that one word versus interrogation. I'll take it off the tape, and I'll have my secretary put it to paper. Immediately afterwards, I'll take that tape, and I'll scan it over my magnet, throw it in my box, so I can use it again. I do not keep the tape. It is not evidence. It's not required to be evidence.